Welcome back across the bridge. It's your host, Jahmal Rashad. We got Keezy Kool. And again, we just bringing some great content, talking about sports, music, and more. And ultimately, just trying to bridge that gap between the world and all the wonderful talent in the wonderful city of Jacksonville, Florida. So
Duval County. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
the NBA is back, man. But before we get into that, how's March going for you? How's your juice fast? I know you was juicing and all of that. How's that going?
Oh man, the juice fast is really a fruit cleanse. I haven't had one juice yet. I just been eating fruit and drinking water and tea. I kind of just ain't really been in the mood to take in that much food or liquid. I kind of just been like piecing myself through it. The day I just had uh, a bowl, acai bowl, and drinking water. Man, I ain't had to. I don't know. I just been moving, just going off energy. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm gonna
Word.
make some juices tomorrow actually, but the whole fad, the whole clean, I might have had one juice and just a bunch of strawberries. Publix had strawberries on sale this whole month, so I just eat a bunch of strawberries, a bunch of berries. Going like that.
That's what's up. Yeah, I love blackberries. We typically eat blueberries, blackberries, bananas, tangelos. Man, that's one of my favorites, man.
Some of the little small oranges.
Yeah. Publix got them
uh,
buy one, get one free.
them strawberries help you move. You feel me? Help you move through. I love them berries, man. I love them berries. I've been doing
Yeah.
smoothies too. I might make one of them. Then make me coconut water. Damn.
No, I'm down with strawberries, but I like the blackberries,
I like blackberries too.
berries first for sure.
Blackberries fire.
Cool, man. That's what's up. Well, opportunity for me to educate you on the NBA. So I'm ready to
Right.
get into some topics.
Right.
It's definitely jump in, but first, I want to say rest in peace, Junior Bridgeman. Are you familiar with him?
I just got familiar with them. Everybody been sharing and things of that nature, but I didn't
Yeah.
know he was, doing it like that, doing it on that level. You know what I'm saying? Until just now.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been somebody I was aware of. I think mainly because I know somebody just like him, played in professional sports when it comes to basketball, um, ran a corporation, has a lot of restaurants. And I got to experience what that was like being a professional athlete and seeing somebody transition into the business world. And they're from Louisville, Kentucky as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I was always up on game on Bridgman. And I was always curious, like, what prevented other athletes or NBA players from following the same model? But just for those who don't know, Junior Bridgman played in the NBA, was all American, came out of Louisville, Kentucky. Went into the NBA and actually got drafted to the Lakers. Traded for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from Milwaukee, went to the Lakers, and then Bridgman ended up going to Milwaukee, becoming a legend. From a basketball standpoint, solid player, six man candidate, but transition to a superstar when it came to the business world. So you're talking about a black man who had over 400 restaurants. My favorite, Jet Magazine. I don't know if you used to read that daily article.
Mm-hmm.
I used
Mm-hmm.
to love the Jet Magazine growing up, man. That was cool. So, he diversified his portfolio. And you're talking about somebody who only earned a max annual salary of around 350,000, right? So you got Jason Tatum's and them type of dudes getting 40 million, 50 million annually. He took it from 350,000 and became a billionaire. So shout out to him for just having that fortitude, that work
Mm-hmm.
ethic, and being an example of what's possible, but passed away recently due to a heart attack, unfortunately, at 71.
Mm.
Just wanted to shout him out. And for those who don't know, take some time, do some research and see, how he invested his money and diversified his portfolio. Uh, Definitely laid a blueprint. So shout out
Mm-hmm.
to Junior Bridgman.
Yeah,
Cool.
sure.
So the NBA is back. It's in the spotlight. You know, of course, the NFL season is quickly approaching, but the NFL is doing their thing. We're about a month away, almost. I would say a month and 6 days. April 19th is when the NBA playoffs kick off, and that's when I really tap in. But we have some
That
big
makes sense.
games. We have some big news. I know you brought it up. Let's start with Stephen A, man. Shout out to Stephen A. He just got a new contract.
Yeah,
The man doing it big. A legend when it comes to the media space. Somebody who I think is creating some great platforms that hopefully we can even cross paths. With what we're doing at some point to see where this goes in the future. But Stephen A. LeBron James.
yeah. I want you to kick it off. I want to hear your words first about this one.
My words.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts first.
So I mean, I don't really have much thought on it. Like I saw a glimpse because, of course, I'm not on social media right now for the month of March, so I'm not really tapped into what's going on. You did send me some context. I watch clips of First Take on YouTube occasionally, so I did see him address it, but I wasn't really aware of the situation. From the video you sent me, I took a look to hear what he said specifically on the event. And it appears LeBron James approaches him after a timeout in the third quarter. He pulls up on him unexpected and addresses him about talking about his son, Bronny James, who's in the NBA as well, on the Lakers specifically. And, unexpected from Stephen A. standpoint, kind of unexpected. I wouldn't necessarily even expect that from LeBron. So, being that it was tied to his son, I guess there's some emotional impact there. Again, I'm not really clear on the full situation, but I've heard people say it was a weak move. I mean, I don't know. I've never been in that particular position, right? And I do have a son, and I just can't imagine me not stepping up for my son in any capacity. But when I think about LeBron James, when I think about the position he's in, when I think about him just being in the media, his son being in basketball, like it is what it is. I would expect everyone's going to talk about him. No one's going to have, not no one, but people are going to have their takes, positive, negative, in between. And he's somebody who seems to be able to deal with it and create his own narrative. So I look at it like he's intentional, so it must have been something big on his mind for him to do that in the middle of the game, to him to do it strictly as Stephen A. Smith. Um, I don't know, honestly. I don't really have much take on it. I would love to hear your perspective and
Mm.
what your thoughts are.
Me, man, I just think it's all more of attention for LeBron James doing what he has to do or doing whatever is needed to put attention and eyes on himself. Because truthfully, what was happening and is happening right now, you're not really hearing him in the news as much as far as basketball is concerned. Even the whole Luka Doncic uh, situation, the whole trade, they playing right now, getting their asses whooped. But people were starting to really focus in on the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Cavs, the Celtics. You had a couple people, saying what they had to say about the Lakers, but more and more the conversation had been turning to the MVP race, which LeBron is not in the MVP discussion no more. He's 40 years old. He's not having nowhere near good a season as he had in the past. And I just think, man, it's calculated him. It's so many different ways he could have went about that. As a human on the human side, I guess if you're gonna say you're trying to defend your son, but your son a grown ass man. Stephen A. Smith hasn't said anything negative about your son. He came out and really addressed you in the way you handled this as a father. And even if you see the follow up clip when he was talking to Richard Jefferson once again, right in front of the cameras, and when everyone can hear what he was saying, LeBron even said that I don't care what he's talking about, but when he said something about he pleading with him as a father to stop doing what he was doing, LeBron claiming like that's what set him off. And I don't have a problem with that or any of that. My whole thing is you doing this in front of the cameras. But Stephen A. Smith is courtside. I'm sure that you've seen him before the game started. Surely you could have waited. What makes you say I'm gonna wait in the middle of the game? That tells me that you ain't even focused on the game because you're more concerned with going to speak to Stephen A. Smith in the middle of the damn third quarter. That's just what that's just what it is. I just really want to hear your take on it. Like same thing, it's not really that much you can say. Just get more to the basketball, but it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? It's just real energy. And what I really want to, what really made me think is, would you have walked up to anybody else and did that? Would you, because you walked up to this man flexing, looking down on him? Would you have walked up to Skip Bayless or any of these white dudes who talk crazy about you your whole career? Would you walk up on them and size them up and down like that? Or did you feel very comfortable walking up on a black man who you outweigh and you probably can knock the hell out? You know what I'm saying? We assume it's an assumption. You staring him down. So we could not. To me, it's just the whole thing about it's the attention and the time and place. The time and place for everything. That was the time and place for that. You know. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I definitely don't believe it was the right place. So that's why either it's intentional, from like something I
I
don't
always, I
understand.
always tell you that about him. Everything he do was intentional when it comes to what he's doing. It's not by mistake. He loves the attention. That's just
Yeah.
what it is.
So that part, or it was just the emotions, right? Like I just understand from a human standpoint, sometimes people do things and you just like, I don't understand how that happened, but sometimes the emotions can take over. So I'm just assuming it's strictly because he challenged him as a father.
That's
That's
what Stephen A. said. Stephen A. gave him that pass and said he was like, you know what? That was a father talking to me. That wasn't a basketball player. That's why I say I rock with Stephen A. 50-50. Sometimes he say some real, just ridiculous things, but it seems like to me he a real dude when it comes to just us being us. He said
yeah.
he was like, man, he broke it down. He said something to the fact that he remembered in the first quarter that he looked at Bronny. They called each other eyes, Bronny and Stephen A. And he said Bronny just like dropped his head and shook his head. And he said he wondered if LeBron had seen that and probably felt some way. So even like you said, from a human side, being a father, but at the same time, like, hey man, your son not 18. He ain't 17. He a grown ass man. And it's not like Stephen A. Smith has said anything derogatory about your son. He hasn't said anything about him. I don't think he even been a scrub or anything like that. He just like, yo, you put this spotlight on him. You the reason the media is treating him the way they treating him. And I think, LeBron took offense to that. Because what's hit me is like, I always believe and I say LeBron is protected by the media. He probably realizing right now that while he has protection, Bronny's not going to have that same level of protection. Bronny's not a cash cow for the NBA and for Nike like you is. So they'll take shots at him left and right. And then with him even doing that, I'm thinking to myself, man, if they was to make the NBA Finals and they played the Boston Celtics, them fans gonna be on his ass and on Bronny James' ass if that boy in there. They're gonna be going hard. Like you just gave so much ammunition to everybody to come at you in this time when there is a real possibility, just keeping it real, that you can make the finals, right? It's like it's no way the Lakers can get there. But man, I feel like from just a competitive standpoint, and with them fans, how them fans is in them places like Oklahoma City and Boston and Denver, places like that where they known for overt racism, man, they finna turn up on LeBron James and Bronny. So
Yeah. I mean, again, it was weird. Like, it was weird. Again, I thought it happened at the end of the game. So it's
I
like it
did
happened in
too.
the third
Right,
quarter. It was like, I don't know. I can't speak too much to it, but yeah, it was a weird situation. I definitely feel Stephen A's point, just as far as we could have did this at a different time, a different place. And I always like that about Stephen A is he's willing, to own whatever the situation is and have the
right,
conversation.
right,
So I definitely think the conversation could have been had somewhere else since that's all it was going to be anyway. It wasn't
right,
like it was going to be a physical confrontation.
right,
Maybe he just had that on his chest. I don't know. That's why I won't speak too much on it. I'll just say it appeared to be based on his son, and I'm a father now, and I don't know if once he gets 20, I'll say I ain't his father no more. I'll stop. I don't know. Like I said, I was just laying in bed with my guy, reading a book while he watching iPad. So
right.
that's just my guy. So I don't know what it's like for him. I heard other people mentioning like. I think it was on Cameron. He was saying from the perspective of, his whole career. he was away from his firstborn son, and now he has the opportunity to be with him on a day-to-day basis. So you just never know what that experience may be like. But
Yeah.
do I agree he should have did it there? No. Do I believe people should question his fatherhood? Not unless you want to have a conversation with him, um, and just keep it to basketball. You know, critiquing the son, critiquing him, it is what it is. But yeah, I just think it was a mix of emotions or maybe something intentional. But hopefully they can have that conversation and continue to keep it out the public eye. Do I believe people don't talk about LeBron though? He's not the main topic. I mean, he always the main topic. I don't agree with that take you said. Uh, I don't think he needed to do that with Stephen A in order to bring his name up. But do I think it's a good look? Nah. So we'll see what happens with it. He's injured right now, so I don't even look at the Lakers the same. Oh, well, I know you think he's taking a shot or getting his,
He ain't
battery
ready.
pack of pills.
He getting ready for the final push.
Yeah, man.
He gonna be
Whatever
even
your
more. He gonna
theories
be even
are.
more ball. He gonna be even more ball come April.
Uh, well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a weird moment. So. But on past that, NBA's been having some big games, man. Really understand getting a preview of who's going to be the top dog, who's going to come out the West, who's going to come out the East, who's going to
Yes, yes,
represent the
yes.
NBA Finals. So, who stood out the most to you recently, and what do you expect as we head towards the playoffs?
Who stood out the most to me really was two teams that the most, and it's really the Timberwolves. They reminded me last night.
Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves. You know what? You watched the game last night.
No.
They reminded me last night why they beat the Denver Nuggets and why they was in the Western Conference Finals. I don't think Denver can beat them. After watching that game and it finally seeing Julius Randle with, I think they don't have a 5-6 game winning streak, and he pretty much is when the Knicks got sent home last year. I said the Timberwolves need to trade Cat for Julius Randle. I said that, and I'm happy they did it because he gives them a whole hell of a lot more all around than Cat did. If you watch the Lakers and the damn Knicks when all this shit went down, Carlton Towns scored 5 points from third quarter to overtime. And all he did was just, with his big ass, he just stood around the paint. He didn't go into the paint. He ain't dribble. He ain't pass. He just stood there. With Julius Randle was getting the rebounds, bringing it down court, making it easy on Anthony Davis and Mike Conley. He running the offense on some forward type of time. So he dropping 25 and 10 and 6, or he giving you 16, 10 and 9. Like, really giving people the business. He was giving Joker the business last night. Just coming through, bumping him out the way and highlighting why a lot of people are down on him, like they are on Lucas, saying they don't play defense. So that gave me a call for pause. I picked Denver to go to the finals, but I'm like, wait a minute. I'm saying that Aaron Gordon wasn't there, and I know they're a totally different team with Westbrook off the bench. But if Aaron Gordon not there, they definitely not beating the Timberwolves. And I'm not even sure I picked them to beat the Timberwolves again. Because that team good, man. I'm talking about that Reed dude, that Reed be hooping. They long, they defend. And DiVincenzo hooping.
The Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're on a 5-game streak. I think right now they seventh in it. They right behind Golden State. They're on a 6-game winning streak. I think the longest winning streak in the league behind Cleveland. 9-1, or the 7-3 in their last 10. Golden State 9-1 in their last 10. I'm about to watch Golden State and Sacramento next because I haven't seen a live game of Golden State with Jimmy Butler against a good team. I'm gonna watch them next and get a better picture of it. But other than that, OKC, man, OKC beating the Celtics. They came through and beat Denver, split with them. I still don't think that they're gonna win a championship, and I wouldn't pick them to go because it's still just too much on Shea. They're a young team. He gonna do what he got to do. SGA gonna get his, but it's like somebody else got to be consistently there that help him, and it can't be the second person's impact can't come off him, off Shea giving them assists. It got to be somebody got to be able to get their own shot when he go to the bench. Because when he go to the bench, it's like everything start to fall apart. They get very stagnant. They play good defense as a unit. They got good size. They move around well. They're a good team. I think they're a little too young, but I was impressed. They had some impressive wins, beating the Celtics at home, beating the Celtics away, and coming and beating Denver. Who else? Memphis coming up. They're doing their thing. Everybody seemed to just be gelling at the right time. Cleveland and Boston, the only thing worth mentioning really in the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee might be a sleeper. Detroit might be able to pull an upset in the first round. They run into the Knicks, but right now I'm solely focused on Cleveland, Boston, and the West really is wide open. Yes, even the Lakers with matchups, I wouldn't be like, there's no possible way they're going, but I don't have a pick right now in the West. I don't have a pick right now. I got to wait the playoff time to see when once seeding and everything get right for them.
Yeah, really to your last point, there's a lot of parity, from a game to game basis, but the playoffs is just a different picture, right? Like it's a 7 game series.
Right.
Talk about matchups, you talk about superstars showing up, and then finding a bench that can contribute at least 1 to 2 games, win you 1 to 2 games, right? So when I think about the Western Conference, I mean, I like the Thunder. I do like the Thunder right now. When you think about defense, right? I always have that defensive mindset. Defense wins championships.
Mm-hmm.
And the Thunder across the board are the number one defensive team in the league. And then
Yep.
they have that superstar in Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, do I believe he can beat a team solely by himself? I do not. So again, who's going to show up? Do you have Chet Holmgren who can play, but I just haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? When we think about deep into the playoffs, a 7 game series, I've seen it throughout the year, back to back seasons that are number one team. But they're definitely somebody I respect enough to keep my eye on them. As we think about the rest of the Western Conference, it really again is just going to come down to the matchups, right? So as we look right now, you have the Thunder in first, you have the Grizzlies. Ja Morant been quiet, man. Where did they come from? I don't think the Grizzlies will have any uh type of game when it comes down to the playoffs. Like I don't see them. It's crazy to me that they're even the number 2 seed, but I don't really see them making any noise. But you got the Grizzlies at 2. Then of course you got the Nuggets, who I agree with you, right? Minnesota, they have somebody who's a defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert. You have Julius Randle, who is a bruiser. So you're talking about get potential to get people in foul trouble. He can shoot the three. He can run the fast break. And then you got Ant Edwards, who we talked about, somebody who could be the face of the league, young, athletic. He's willing to go toe to toe with anybody, and he can hoop for real, for real. So they got a nice squad. They got veteran leadership. They got a couple of pieces, but ultimately, they can be the Nuggets kryptonite, but I don't think they can really beat any other team from a 7 game series standpoint. Julius Randle, he'll get into one of those games where he shoot 10, 15 threes, make two of them,
He can't do that. He can't do that.
and be irritated and just not be locked in. He's good for that. So I think they could beat the Nuggets, but again, it's just gonna come down to matchups. The Warriors, they got Jimmy Butler, but I don't think they have enough. They are currently in the 6th seed. You got the Rockets still there. If I'm not mistaken, you said they were gonna fall off a cliff, but they're still right there in the mix,
They
messed up.
hanging in. They hanging in. I thought more. I thought KD would get his shit together, but he didn't. So yeah,
Yeah, Kevin Durant, Booker, Beal, to me,
that's crazy.
they washed. I'm gonna just call it. It is what it is. Uh, they are not the one or the two. All of them are threes. And
I don't
right
think Booker.
now,
Well, I think Booker is in a bad spot. I think Booker can go to another team and be a problem. He just in a claw right there. He young. Like
yeah, he
I
can
think
be a
Booker.
problem three, right? He can be a Austin Reeves. He
Hell no,
can
you
be.
wilding. Hell no, you tripping.
I'm tripping.
You tripping.
What's the dude from the Heat? Tyler Hero. He's like one of
You
those type players to me.
you out of your mind.
Okay, well, I'm looking for them on the playoff play-in. They're not even in the play-in,
They
so
not.
I'm out of my mind. But
I'm blaming that on. I'm giving that to KD.
okay, okay. So
He ain't no
Booker
three
better than
averaging
KD.
28 a game and 20s. Nah, he ain't no three. Ain't no threes averaging 20, 27 points a game. No. No, 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 no.
Yeah. So right now, I'm not even wasting my time on the Suns because they're nowhere on the
Yeah,
playoff picture.
yeah, that's terrible.
So the Clippers, man, they're in AC. I love Kawhi Leonard, but
Listen,
uh,
a healthy Kawhi. Listen to me. A healthy Kawhi. I would pick them to beat the Thunder in the first round, straight up. If the Clippers come healthy and everybody right, I would not be surprised if they beat them in 6, 7 games because I
yeah,
really don't believe in the Thunder like that. And the Clippers are a big bruising team. Zubac out here dropping 35 some games, and the Thunder can't do shit with that. You know,
that's a
Shea gonna
lot
have
of
to.
ifs. That's a lot of ifs, man. So
Well, yeah, I mean, he got to be healthy, but
yeah,
he
if
playing. He playing.
nah, for sure. I mean, Kawhi Leonard is a deal. James Harden,
Norman Powell.
he dropped a couple 30-point games, 40-point games, so it's possible. But I just don't believe they'll be healthy. So that's a non-issue for
The
me. But
Travis.
yeah, I do believe that'll be a good matchup if they're healthy. And that'll be unfortunate for the Thunder, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like I see them could definitely make it and represent the Western Conference, but the fact that we can say, well, if Kawhi is healthy and James Harden balling, we can see them upsetting the number one seed. That's the part I don't really like about the Thunder. So I'm still sticking with the Lakers as long as LeBron come back. We can
You
clearly
got to
see how
You
much
got
of a
to be
difference he makes,
kidding me. You got to
how
be
much
kidding.
of a difference he makes at 40 to this team to be injured and now they look like a shell of themselves. Of course, there's some other key injuries, so I didn't realize how important Jackson Hayes was.
Yeah, I bet you didn't.
But that's the skill set of Luca just being able to have that lob threat. I don't know why they have Alex Lynn. But anyway, the West the
Because
Western
LeBron James kicked the White House out the league. That
the
shit was
Western
the White House.
Conference is looking real interesting right now. When it comes to the Eastern Conference, I believe in the Cavaliers. They probably have the best team from top to bottom. I believe it'll just come down to them versus the Boston Celtics. I give the edge to the Celtics for one reason. Donovan Mitchell's been on number one teams plenty of times, whether it's Cleveland in this case or the Utah Jazz. He just seems to show up like short for some reason. Like I think he is a superstar. I think he's a baller, right? Like he can play. The teams he's on, they always are winning. But for some reason, when it comes down to the playoffs, they just show up short. So I'll have to see it to believe it. But they do have a squad. They got Hunter from Atlanta Hawks. I think that was a huge pickup. I don't think they've lost a game since they traded for him, right? So you got a top D&3 player. I always think about him when he played for Virginia and they won that national championship. Like he's just a solid player. He makes plays. His presence is just felt. So for him to be a fourth, fifth option, to be able to have Jared Allen, you got Mobley, you just got defenders everywhere, and he can just
Yeah,
come in and
he the
play
key.
his role.
He the key to their whole thing. It got to go through Mobley. It can't go through Mitchell. They got to go through Mobley. He the key.
Yeah, but again, I have to see it. So to know the key is one thing, but to be the key is a different thing. So we'll see how that all plays out as we move forward. But I like Cleveland. It'll be cool to see them make some noise. Who would you want to see in the finals? Not who you believe, but if you had an ideal matchup, what does that look like for you?
Ideal matchup for me is Denver and Boston. I believe they really been the best two teams the past 2 3 years. I
Mm.
believe Denver just. I believe Denver just blew it last year as far as the front office and bringing people back, reading stories about it. It's not really. They having a lot of issues in the organization right now. It's showing a team who is not used to success in the front office making bad decisions as far as not bringing back certain players to try to defend their title. So I really would like to see Denver and Boston and just see who's the best team. The best team out of that, I wouldn't. Other than that, I wouldn't mind seeing Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a good ass team, so I wouldn't mind seeing them. Anthony Edwards, them hooping.
No, I'm not feeling Minnesota, man. Of course, like ideally, if it all made sense, Lakers versus Boston, right? Like from a history standpoint, I think it'll rejuvenate the league. It'll just create a lot of buzz, and it'll be cool to see that type of historical approach in 2025. Plus, see LeBron James in the finals. See what type of storylines and what type of play can happen with that. Luka Doncic, of course. From a realistic standpoint, more so the Thunder versus the Boston Celtics. looking at what
that'd be a good series. That'd be a real good series.
looking at Shea was able to do against top defenders. I mean, Jaylen Brown is somebody I consider a top defender, and he just make it look so easy, man. Like, it just don't matter who's in front of him, what the situation is. I was looking at some of his reverse layups. I'm just like, man, this dude is butter, man. He just good.
Sometimes his handles really fuck him over. Sometimes he just when it comes to dribbling the basketball though, his handles is not that he will lose the ball
Yeah.
in the most key time. But I figure though, he is dope.
Nah,
Him and Tatum dope.
nah, he ain't no Kyrie Irving when it comes to the handles, but just the game of basketball and being able to get the ball in the bucket, right?
Yeah, he
Like
do that.
he has the ability to do that regardless of who's in front of him. And I think that's something that'll be exciting to see. Their matchup, two teams that are capable of playing defense, but two teams that are capable of scoring as well. Relatively young, right? They build through the draft. They have great GMs. So I would love to see that matchup. And it'll be a little bit of the new, a little bit of the old when you think about
Right.
organization wise. I'm not sure if the Thunder have ever won a championship before,
Well, the
but
Sonics did back in the day, but not the Thunder.
yeah, the Presti, he puts together great rosters. I think it's an opportunity to see if he can actually win.
Yeah, man, consistent. He been there from jump, right? He been there since KD got there. Was there, right?
Yeah, he put that squad together.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, he been doing his thing, man. He really good at his job.
yeah, man. So we'll see what happens, but some great opportunities, see some great games, see who rises to the top. And I think it'll be a fun playoffs this year, so I look forward to it. But with that being said, we got the season coming to an end. We got the ballers showing out. Right now, they saying Shea is at the top of the MVP ladder, followed by Joker. Who you got winning MVP this year and why?
And it's kind of just like the NFL, bro. Like, well, it's kind of the space where it should be like a co MVP type of thing going on because last year they showed that they don't really care about you having a number one overall record when they didn't even give Tatum any consideration for him. I don't think Tatum was top five in MVP candidate, and the Celtics ran away with the record. It was like the only 6 to win team I think last year. So even Cleveland right now, no one from Cleveland is even in MVP consideration. This team that had 2 15-game win streaks. We're talking about Shea and Jokic. And the thing about Jokic is he already a 3-time MVP winner, but this is his best season ever right here. This is his best season statistically and just how he look on the court. He's never looked better. So it'd be hard to sit there and say, well, damn, his best season ever, he not getting the MVP award. But then on the other end, though, you got Shea. The OKC is 12 games above the second team in the Western Conference, which is historically the most difficult conference to come out of to deal with in the NBA. He lead them in point. I think he dropping 30 a game. He a point guard. He really make that team go. But who can you really say is the most valuable between him and Jokic? Because when Jokic not on, they showed a stat. I think when Jokic not on the court, it's like the NBA record, like historical wise, when he on the court versus off the court, the Nuggets are a totally different team when he's not on the court. So I don't know, man. I think it's gonna go to SGA. I really can't tell you who I think should get it. I think it should be a co-MVP type of thing. I can't say Shea or Jokic deserve it over one another.
Yeah, I'm going with Shea, man. Like, all right, I'll blame a little bit on the fatigue, but they did that same thing to me with LeBron, right? Like, you
To
can't just
you, what
keep, huh?
do you mean to you?
To me, what?
You say you saying they did a thing with you, LeBron? I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think it's fatigue, like, because even from the standpoint that you're saying, I don't like when it's like comparing years to years. Like, well, this year he's doing way better than he did when he won it, so therefore he should win it. It's like, nah, we just gonna look at this year, but then it make you think, should he have won it that year? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did he win it that year if this year is so much more better? Are you saying, like you said, Jason Tatum or whoever was eligible and competing at that time? But I just look at the whole body of work from the standpoint of, all right, where's the team at based on this person's contribution? and that individual is the most valuable person. So if we think about your point with the Boston Celtics, yeah, they ran away, but a lot of people was having a conversation of if Jaylen Brown was the best player on the team, right? So it's hard to then say we should have given consideration to Tatum at that time when at the time you're trying to figure out who is the one that's leading. And you look at the finals MVP, it went to Jaylen Brown, right? So that's why I think he wasn't in position to win. Then you look at the Cavaliers, you just sat here and told me the key is Mobley, right? Is not Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell is who you would consider as the best player on the team. So it's hard to say, all right, this is the most valuable player when you sit and say the most valuable piece is actually the power forward, and that's where everything needs to run through, and he's the one who needs to show up to make that engine run. So I think that's what's going to eliminate him being in consideration as the number one team. So you look at the flip side, who else is the other number one team coming out of the West Coast? It is OKC. And the key to that team is SGA. The best player on that team is SGA. If you ever see his post game interviews on the court, one thing that always stands out to me is how much of the players are actually standing around him, right? Like people actually are following his lead, and you can see the impact that he's having on a team that is younger. So I heard stories about Charlotte Hornets when there's players drafted and they go in and they're all the same age, and they're like, man, we ain't had no vet. We didn't know how to operate a practice. We didn't know what to do when we come out of practice or our lifestyles or how we act on the plane or professionalism, right? So you have a young player in SGA leading a whole bunch of younger dudes, being the youngest or second youngest team in the NBA, but having a mental fortitude when it comes to being able to execute, being able to grind it out. You look at that from a defensive standpoint, right? Being the number one defensive team across the league and him being the engine for that. And then you look at his production, 30 points, 40 points, 50 points, 30 points, 30 points. It doesn't matter the team they play, he's showing up. They've only lost 12 games out of the whole season. So even with Cleveland's 2 15-game win streaks, they're only 2 games in the loss column behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they may not stack 15 game wins in a row, but they stacking wins all throughout the year. And I think it's a testament to where he came from to be traded away for Paul George
Terrible.
and their whole Clippers organization traded away everything, including Shea Gilgeous-Alexander,
Terrible.
who's considered an MVP candidate, and I believe he'll actually win and walk away with this. So I'm
This is my
excited
push
for
what
him.
you're saying though, because right, Shea has an all-star teammate. Jokic doesn't. There's no all-star on Jokic team. And I believe it might be the first time in history that a player is top five in points, rebounds, and assists. Jokic is number three in points, two in assists as a big man. I think he's number three in rebounding, like at 13 rebounds a game. He's talking about someone who really does it all for his team as a big man, and he's shooting incredibly from the field. And like I mentioned, when he's not on the court, the Nuggets are not the Nuggets. When SGA goes to the bench, you can sit there and say, okay, Jalen Williams, as the second all-star on this team, step up and get something like all-star this year, step up and okay, let's get something done. But when Jokic on the court, there's off the court, there's nothing. That team shrinks. Everything goes, the size they have, the creativity in the offense, everything goes away. So while I agree with everything you're saying about uh, SGA, it's just still hard to sit there and say he's more valuable to his team than Jokic is to his team. When Jokic is really literally doing it all to the point where he's top five, or really shit, not even top five, he's top three in point rebounds and assists. That's crazy.
See, I don't really like that take, man, because that sounds like one of those who got a certificate, who graduated from college mindset,
You
right?
mean
Because you said SGA got an all-star team, and then you look at the Nuggets and he don't got an all-star team.
no
What
player? I
I
said player. I'm
Hmm?
saying he has an all-star teammate. I mean, he has an all-star teammate.
That's my point that I'm getting to is you're talking about the certificate, right? You're saying Jalen Williams got the nod to be an all-star player, but because you look at the Denver Nuggets, you don't see anybody with that certificate that they don't have an all-star player. So my question to you is Jamal Murray better than Jalen Williams?
Uh,
The
probably,
fact that you're thinking about
probably.
it,
But
right?
listen, but think about this though. He doesn't have an all-star teammate. Jokic has never had an all-star teammate.
That's what I'm saying.
He's probably better, but you don't have an all-star teammate. It's like, yo,
That's what I'm saying. We're talking about somebody who, when the playoffs start, give me Jokic and Jamal Murray and see what happened, right? Like you're talking about somebody who to me is a all-star. The dude should be an all-star. He just don't get the nod. So that's all I'm saying as far as you're talking about the paperwork, right? Like Jalen Williams has it, but if we step onto the playoffs and you give me the Nuggets versus OKC and you say who the two players you got, I'm going with Jokic and Jamal Murray versus SGA and Jalen Williams. And that's no knock to Jalen Williams. Like, he's a good player. Do I think he's the top 14, 15 best player in the Western Conference? Like, Kyrie Irving was a replacement in the NBA All-Star, if I'm not mistaken. Or he didn't get an NBA All-Star nod. So to me, it's like that's just paperwork. You know, he got the certificate to say it, but when it come down to the basketball game, when it come down to the playoffs, Joker got an all-star on his team.
well, even
But
if you say that's the paperwork, Jokic being top three in point rebound assist, that ain't paperwork. That's a real deal on the court,
yeah,
balling all over the court to the lights that SGA not doing it. So now the question is this: like you said, okay, Jokic and Murray, you'll take that. Who you gonna take in the playoffs, Jokic or SGA?
SGA.
Okay, I'm taking Jokic because
Yeah.
he's done it. SGA hasn't done it.
Yeah, and I'm saying Joker did it because he had a superstar caliber all-star player playing alongside him who helped him along the way. So when we look at the Mavs versus the OKC last year, you were looking for Jalen Williams. You were looking for somebody to step up and be that running mate with SGA who was carrying the team. So that's all I'm saying is Joker, they got a team. He had help. He got players. Aaron Gordon ain't no, you know, somebody who just
Yeah,
off.
they definitely a more veteran team. I give you that. But like I said, man, I think it should be Kool MVPs. Really, I think it should be Kool. But they're not gonna do that. So whoever get it, I'm not gonna be sitting here saying nobody got robbed. I do believe if Yoki win, it's gonna be an outrage. If he win, get his fourth MVP award. Because now you're gonna put him in the same category as LeBron here. Oh man, Yoki got 4 MVPs. LeBron got 4 MVPs. Maybe get, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I mean, he's great, no doubt for sure. But I think it's easy to get those numbers. Like I don't get why, and we don't have to go there. But like people say the game is so easy, but then when he do stuff, it's like, man, look at all this stuff he doing. But the game easy, you know what I'm saying? Like it's way easier. He's big, you know, he moves slow, he can shoot, he can pass. It's a lot easier. I respect his game. I think he's great, but it seemed like the rules don't apply to everyone. It's like we pick and
now
choose who the rules apply to.
I wouldn't
So
disagree with you there. I wouldn't disagree with your point there about the league being. That's why everybody averaging. That's why all these numbers are also inflated.
that's what I'm saying. He
Like
got
everybody's numbers are inflated.
30, 30, and 30. It's like, oh my gosh. But it's like, come on, man. You could you just keep tapping the ball like this and you get two or three rebounds in one possession. So but anyway, I think it's gonna go to SGA. We'll see what happens, but
Let's see.
shout out to the Thunder. All right. The NFL, man.
like you really want to bring this up for real, did you?
Nah, what you mean, man?
Go ahead.
It's the
Like
hometown.
you
So
paused a little bit before you said that.
nah, I'm excited, man. I'm
I
so
bet you are.
excited, man.
I bet you
Like,
are.
shout out to Duval County, man.
Oh, Duval
I love
County.
the hometown
Oh
and the
man.
Jaguars. Let's get into these big moves, man. So, you want to talk about free agency first or the domination of the Jaguars? Which one?
Let's talk about free agency, and we can start with. I mean, I guess you want to start with the Jaguars. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I love Jordan Lewis. I was
Okay.
championing that. I love the Jordan Lewis pickup. Um, Eric Murray, I think that was a decent one as well. I would have liked to see them go after a different safety, one of the more higher ranking safeties besides him, but I'm not really mad at that. Now, besides those two, everything else is just filler. I'm not. It just you filling out roster spots, so I'm not really um championing that. I don't really understand why the Jaguars are being shitted on so much in the media by their free agency. Um, I'm guessing they just don't like Jordan Lewis as much as I like Jordan Lewis. But when you sign a veteran player, which I always say, I say the Jaguars need to infuse a mixture of young talent with veterans throughout every level of every position level on that team, whether it be linebackers, D line, DBs, O line, receiver, running back. Everything needs to have a mixture of both. If you can do that, I think they did a good job of addressing filling holes, addressing needs. I don't think anybody would be of much consequence besides Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray, Patrick McCarry. He was really okay. You playing with Lamar Jackson and and Derrick Henry is not going to be the same playing with Trevor Lawrence and whoever they decide the running back to start running back to be. But I definitely love what they did on defense, and I'm hoping that will make them draft defense in the damn draft, build this defense up. Me being a Broncos fan, they showed you that you can build your defense up and have a decent, steady offense. You don't have to go out here and just be wasting picks or drafting the best just to give him offense. Like, no, build your defense up. That's what the Jacksonville Jaguars historically are known for having being good for their defense and their run game. Do that, make the game easier for Trevor Lawrence, and maybe you will get to 8 or 9 wins this season.
Man, it sounds like the Jaguars trending up with you, man.
Well, it just dispels the myth of me being a hater. I just hate stupidity. That's what the Jaguars do. But signing Jordan Lewis was not a stupid move.
So yeah, it sounds like you right. You buying the ticket, man. I got space right here on this train. Feel free. I got a free ticket. You don't even have to purchase one. So let me know what you're trying to do.
Anything in
But
life that just come free ain't right. All right,
it
you keep that
sounds
free
like
ticket.
you packing your bags. You know what I'm saying? This is getting scary. We only in the off season. The season just started yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So this is great news. So yeah, I mean, I told you this a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I talked so much about leadership. You talked about plays on the field, and I said it starts with leadership, right? You talked about how new they were. I talked about listening to what they're saying and the fact that they're all on the same page, right? And I said I was going to pay attention to their off-season moves, starting with free agency and then going into the draft. And that would really tell me who they're about and what they're doing. And they did just what they said they would do, right? So we talk about Tony Baselli and his mentality that he's bringing, and that they're focused on the line, right? The line of scrimmage. So that's offensive line, defensive line. So they upgraded, right? The bottom, right? And that's what Gladstone, the GM, was talking about, bringing in people that have high intangibles, right? That automatically come to the team without even stepping on the field and they add value to the team, right? So you talk about intangibles, culture, veteran, right? Veteran presence that you're speaking of. So, and at a fair value at that. Then you have offensive line, defensive line. Well, in this case, they went all offensive line. So they brought in 9 players. 3 of them are offensive linemen. When you think about the best of the three, I would say it is McCarr, right? So somebody who played with the Ravens, somebody who ran the ball effectively, but most importantly, he played all 5 positions. So now you have flexibility to where you have injuries pop up, you have draft picks that come in and they actually can play a better position. You can move this individual around, and he's capable. So that's one aspect. You brought up the other offensive lineman that came from the Bucks, right? And you talked about how a rookie came in and took his starting position, and that's a crazy move. The value there is bringing people who know the system. So there was a common theme of people who came from the Rams, and there was a common theme of people who came from the Vikings, and there was a common theme of people who came from the Bucks. Why is that? You have a whole new system coming into a whole new organization. So you bring in people who can help fill the gap. The QB they brought in, Nick Mullins, was a QB under their offensive coordinator. So again, you have people who can help scale efficiency and effectiveness when it comes to learning the system, learning the playbook, understand the intricacies when it comes to the language that they're using, right? To fast forward when we come through the development season, through spring training and into preseason. So everything aligns with what they've been talking about because Gladstone's whole mission is to build through the draft. So again, using pro free agency not to bring in big names, but to bring in people who can lift the bottom of the roster, veteran leadership, culture builders, and then paying somebody like a Jordan Lewis, like you just called out, considered a top nickel cornerback, right? Somebody who talk noise, and that fits the perfect environment of our city, right? We don't need the quiet people or the whatever you want to call it. We need these
Right, you gotta
people
be
on the
crunk.
field, talking that noise, getting the crowd hype, right?
Right,
So
right,
you
right.
have that. And then lastly, what really impressed me is you have in line with what I just said, you have people who they consider brawlers, right? So the offensive line are people who they consider brawlers. You have the tight ends, real tight ends, right? So not a wide receiver tight end. You have tight ends who are tall, strong, and block better than they can actually catch. So now you have the flexibility of Brenton Strange, who's a young ascending player. You have Jordan Lewis, who's an ascending player. You have a team that's ascending, and then Dayami Brown, right? You talked about him. Why would they bring him in? Everybody who's key on this team is ascending. So you mentioned why they ain't bringing a Debo Samuel, for example, right? You look at descending players, so people who are actually trending down that you celebrate versus people who are trending up. So you'll learn as we go along the value of riding the trend. So if the trend is going up, you ride that wave. If its trend is going down, you don't want trending players who are going down. So I think they had a dominant off season so far. Everything is in line with what's going on. I'm super excited to see what they do with this draft. Most likely they're going to go defensive lineman and get that top defensive lineman from Michigan. Mason Graham, if I'm not mistaken, is his name. And then just keep dominating, man. Like they're positioning themselves to really establish a foundation and look at the long term. The short term, they'll dominate and win, but long term, we'll be in a great position to change the narrative of the Jaguars. And I'll consider getting my season tickets again.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to follow. They sitting doing this right here. You can say they dominant. Like I said, I'm not gonna. I can't really shit on nothing they did. But if you think they dominant, my main thing is, did they catch up to the Texans at all? And they did not. The Texans came in and knocked out the park with they signings, and that trade for that trade they just did with Larry Tunsil is what the Jaguars should have been doing. So you know what I'm saying? This can't you can't knock them. This is a Jacksonville Jaguar thing. It's like this is what y'all should have did after y'all beat the Chargers. This is the reason y'all in this position y'all in right now because you did the wrong damn thing after, like you talking about riding waves and riding momentum. They didn't do that. They just stood pat. So it is what it is. Good for agency. I don't think they called it to the Texans at all. At the end of the day, it's all gonna be done on the field. They do need to have a good draft because the thing about the Texans, I just took a picture of something, and I think the Jaguars are like the only, or people keep saying the Jaguars are rebuilding. Would you consider them to be rebuilding?
Yes.
And I think that's terrible that you have two players in your team that's like the highest paid at their positions and that's rebuilding. Most teams, if you got a highest paid player, you are not in rebuilding mode. And any team who finds themselves with the highest paid player at a position and they rebuilding, there's usually terrible franchises. Case in point, the Cleveland Browns. They just made Myles Garrett one of the highest paid players, the highest paid defensive player probably in NFL history. And I'm pretty sure no one is thinking the Cleveland Browns are going to finish last in the AFC North, right? Say Dak Prescott, top quarterback in the NFL, getting $60 million a year. Like Jalen Ramsey, top DB, the Dolphins. Dolphins ain't going nowhere. Josh Allen, top linebacker, $28 million. Like, no, you can't be rebuilding if you paying Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen this much money, you must be looking to win a championship in this contract with these two guys. Like, you don't want to say you rebuilding in 3 years into the contract. You saying, okay, maybe now we got a chance. Like, no. So I think the Jaguars, they have the talent on defense to get into the playoffs. Compare them once again to the Broncos, and I believe Trevor Lawrence is better than Bo Nix, right? I believe Brian Thomas is better than any wide receiver the Broncos have, but we're in a much tougher division and make the playoffs. So the Jaguars need to be trying to make the playoffs this year, and anything other than making the playoffs is a failed season, in my opinion. Because there's only one team in town, that's the damn Texans.
Yeah, so do I believe they're in position to compete with the Texans? Absolutely. Do I believe they're rebuilding? Absolutely. But I don't see it the same way you see it. I see it from the perspective of, from an organization standpoint. They're rebuilding the organization, the culture of the organization, the leadership. What I keep telling you over and over, week after week after week. And that's a simple move, right? That doesn't require long term, right? Because they're not drafting leadership when it comes to the front office. They have their leadership in place now, and now they get to operate with the same team, the same core, and add their pieces and add their structure and add their mindset and take that and transition it to the field. So I don't think it's a matter of rebuilding like the process like Joel Embiid is in, where it takes
Right,
9, 10 years. I
right,
think it's simply from a rebuilding of, hey, who do we have running this organization? Let's rebuild that. Let's rip it all the way down and build it up. And that's what they did with to your point, first year offensive coordinator, first year defensive coordinator, first year coach, a first GM, all young, right? All moving in the same direction, a first executive vice president. So that's the rebuild that I'm talking about, where they broke it all down and said, we're going to start fresh, we're going to start new, and we're going to start with a mindset that's modern, that's moving into the future, and everybody's on the same page. And now the rest of the team can reflect that. And they're doing everything they're saying, right? Authenticity. You have questions asked by the media, they're answering it. So you don't have to wonder what they're thinking. It's not the cliche answers. It's not the raspy voice that we had to sit and listen to, or the old mindset. It's new, it's fresh, it's authentic, it's swag. And they're looking to take this game to the next level. Everything I heard, even today from the press conferences, is about winning and about showing up on the field. So I just look forward to see what they do in the draft, how that transitions to camp, and then from there I'll give a better take. But I like what I'm seeing so far.
we're gonna see what these coaches, man. We're gonna see this year what the coaches about. Because I will say it's all on the coaches. They got the talent to compete in the AFC South. Because the Texans, I think Texans are a better team than them. I think they're a better ranked organization than them. But it's not like they talent wise that far behind the Texans. So we're going to see how much they are behind them coaching wise this year. And I'm not saying I don't think they're going to do a good job or none of that stuff. I'm just saying we're going to see very early what's real and what's not with the Jaguars, what's real with Trevor Lawrence. And we're going to find out what these next 2-3 years going to look like very early with this regime.
So before we close out, you brought up the Texans. I don't know what the Texans did to make them seem so great this all season, but what stood out to you the most about this free agency, and who would you say actually won? If we had to call a championship of free agency, who do you think won so far?
A lot of teams won. My Broncos did great. My Broncos did a good job coming in getting Evan Ingram, which I think all young quarterbacks need a tight end, need a pass catching tight end because they can be the biggest mismatch on the field depending on the type of tight end you got, which is why I don't really like those tight ends that the Jaguars got unless they are finna go more to running the football in an old school type of offense. They do
Yeah.
that, it makes sense. If they finna try to come out there and pass, which tells me it's going to be interesting. The Broncos did good. I think the Commanders did a good job building around what they have. I don't know what the Steelers doing at all when it comes to DK Metcalf. Like I said the Jaguars should get him for like a third or fourth round pick and see what he looked like. I didn't say you should get him and sign him to an extension. They don't have nobody to go around him. I like what the Texans did. I told you, Trey and Larry Tunsil, what they doing, they building for they're looking to build their team up and continue to have it in a space where we can continue this rolling with this young quarterback. We got draft picks. They bring in Garner Johnson, a safety who pretty much replacing the one he just left that went to y'all, Super Bowl champion. He's definitely an upgrade over Murray. I mean, they going to their third year, so I think they did a good job. Somebody else made some nice moves. I think it might have been the Ravens. The Ravens got a bunch of compensatory picks for their previous moves in free agency, and they signed somebody as well. Who the Ravens signed? Oh, D Hop. They got D Hop to this further filling out the wide receiver position. All doing actually just keeping it being. They don't need nobody. They just Lamar Jackson just got to get his head out of his ass. I'm interested to see what Von Miller go. Cooper Kupp. They're saying he might come to Denver. So yeah, man, I'm really just feeling what my Broncos did. Really feeling. I think the Chiefs are finna have a step back this year, meaning they're not even going to the Super Bowl. So I'm feeling very confident. I think we are the second best team. We're not better than Chiefs yet, but we are definitely the second best team in the AFC West. And if Bo Nix can show it again this year, him and Sean Payton can make me a believer, I'm gonna feel very, very confident with my Denver Broncos, and we trending in the right direction. So I'm rolling with my Broncos.
I mean, I definitely would say the Chargers are better than y'all.
No, they're not. They're
We'll
not.
see what happens with that. But yeah, honestly, I would agree, man. Like some shocking moves. Definitely DK Metcalf going to the Steelers with all the quarterback controversy there. It doesn't make much sense to me. I think he's cool. Like he's a cool wide receiver, but I just he's not my style of wide receiver. If I'm gonna have a receiver who's that size, and I'm looking at the Calvin Johnson or the Randy Moss type of receiver, um, he doesn't seem to be that type of playmaker, even though he's great. You know, again, big dude, speed, can catch, but I prefer another type of wide receiver over DK Metcalf. When I think about who won free agency, I definitely would say the Denver Broncos, man. I thought they put together a great free agency class. Dre Greenlaw, I know he went through some injuries, but I think he's really an enforcer when you talk about the linebacker position. I
Yeah,
think that'll be a huge loss for the 49ers and how their defensive representation was. Although they always seem to find linebackers, so I wouldn't be too worried about the 49ers. But to pick him up, I thought
right.
was a huge move. You get Evan Ingram. I don't even know what their tight end situation is like. I know y'all used to have Noah, but y'all
Yeah,
traded him to Seattle. So
yeah,
being able
yeah.
to pick up Evan Ingram, a great outlet for a young quarterback, somebody who Bo Nix can easily just dump it off. 10 catches a game if necessary. You still got Sutton to go along and some other wide receivers. So I just think overall, like you all had some key pieces, the
That
safety.
safety we got, yeah.
Yeah.
If he stay healthy, oh my God. And you put all them with Pat Surtain, he was player of the year, then oh man, it's the future bright, man. Future bright.
Yeah, and that was just to say y'all had a top defense already, right? So you added these key pieces, and that's what I think elevates that move. Offensively, I don't know what y'all gonna do from a running back position
Yeah, we gotta
standpoint. I
draft him. We
think
gotta draft
I
him.
think that's an opportunity, but that's where you have the draft. You can easily pick up somebody there. So y'all have a nice team, and I thought y'all made some nice moves in the offseason. So I definitely was impressed. I'm shocked. I don't know what this to take of DeAndre Hopkins going to Baltimore. I don't really
He
understand
he
that
wants to
move.
he wants to play with this. He want to play with Lamar Jackson. That's all it is.
Okay.
He wanted to play with Lamar Jackson. A lot of people do it. A lot of people want to help that man win a Super Bowl. And like I said, even though they got him, it's just like, bro, at the end of the day, he don't need nothing but to get his head out his ass. There's nothing else that team actually. Well, if you say they need something, they need the defense to make more plays, to make the game easier for him as well. Other than that, I can't say he need nothing anywhere on that offense. You got running backs, receivers galore. You got two tight ends. Like you got a good offensive line. Come on, man. That's all on Lamar Jackson.
Word. Well, draft coming up in April, if I'm not mistaken. So you got the draft, you got the NBA playoffs to play in. It's really that fun type of year. You know, the weather is nice now. I'm off this snow, so I'm glad the snow season
Yeah,
is out.
I'm bad running. I'm running tomorrow morning. I'm gonna get me 3, 4 miles in tomorrow morning.
Yeah, man. Only thing I don't like about this weather change is the bugs, man. The bugs back out
Was
here.
bugs up there?
Yeah, it's bugs. What you mean? It's bugs everywhere. I
Ain't
mean, up
bugs
here
down here.
is
Ain't,
nature, right?
ain't bugs down here. It's
Ain't no
pollen. Everybody
bugs.
might be sneezing. Everybody walking around Jacksonville just sneezing. Everybody sneezing and the pollen every day.
Yeah. No, it's nature up here, man. So everything coming back outside, but it's cool. I'm gonna be outside this summer, man. But
Yeah.
shout out to the Jaguars. Y'all doing y'all thing, man. I'm excited. Uh, I see the vision. I see the playoffs. I see us winning the division, man. I see us winning the division. So shout out
Hey
to,
man, you up there near Charlotte, right?
yeah, I'm 2 hours away.
Ask wifey. I need wifey to find some friends. I need a date to the Kendrick Lamar concert. Tell wife to go work some magic to find me a date for the Kendrick Lamar concert. I got a ticket, extra ticket.
But you can take me.
Get the fuck, come on, man. Get the hell out of here. I'm not,
I,
fuck, I look like
I'll come
standing next to
down
you,
and
standing next to you, and Scissor come on and say, what the fuck I look like, man.
hey man, Charlotte is Charlotte, man. I'm sure you can find somebody who wanna go to a Kendrick
I'm on the
Lamar
prowl.
concert.
I'm on the apps. I'm on the dating app trying to find. Hey, I need me a date for the Kendrick Lamar concert for real.
No, it's restaurants, man. If you go downtown, just go to some of those restaurants during happy hour, man. It like it's
I'm only going. I'm
young.
only coming for a date, so I'm coming that date.
Oh,
Right? You know what I'm saying? So I got to be in the. Hey, you gonna go to the concert? Go to the concert.
hop in some DMs, man. See what you can
Yeah, I'm
do.
doing so. I'm doing. I'm putting my bid in, man. I'm doing the work. I'm
My
doing the work.
wife can't call it. I don't think she can help you, bro.
Damn,
So,
damn.
cool, man. Well, appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got a special guest next episode, so tap
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
continue to
yeah, yeah.
celebrate Women's
Women's month.
History Month. So,
All right.
special guest next, actually our first guest. So, we look forward to the show. But hit the subscribe button. Let us know what y'all think in the comments. Shout out to the Jaguars. We'll see you next week.
Shout out to Jack.